Right?
Bare necessities.
It's a song. It's also a requirement. What do you guys think a bare necessity is?
Pocket knifing.
Pocket knifing. What scouts? What are scouts like doing? What
Making
are we doing
a
right
fire.
now? Making a fire.
Putting up tents.
Putting up tents. Camping, right?
Camping.
So some of the essential things we need to do for camping. Think about that. If you're going to go camping as a den, what are some of the things that everybody needs, that the den needs to bring? If we're going to go
Water bottle, backpack, flashlight.
We need things for the den. We need. What do you think, Owen?
Why are you holding a walnut?
So if we're packing as a den, let's say we had like 10 kids. What are some of the things we need? We need water. We need enough water for 10 people, right?
We have enough. We have.
We need food. So if you're going to have food, what does that mean? It means you need to kind of plan your food.
Wait,
you need to
so
know what it is you're going to eat, right?
What are we having for supper today? Hot dogs.
I don't know. We're
Pizza.
not there yet. So
I'm not having pizza because
we need. What about? Do we need things to cook with? If you're going to cook dinner outside camping, what are the things you need to cook with?
Hot dogs, fire, wood.
Fire, wood,
Spatula,
pots and pans.
Water?
Yeah, you need
Yeah,
water.
put
You
out
need water
the
to cook.
fire.
When you're done cooking, what do you need to do?
Trash. Put out the fire.
Well, you got to put out the fire, and you need to
Pick up trash.
wash your pots and pans. So you need water and soap.
And water to put out the fire.
Yeah, water to put out the fire.
You need a
You
dishwasher.
throw stuff away?
You need a dishwasher.
What do you need to throw away? And where are you going to throw away into?
Trash.
Trash bag?
A sink.
Do
Trash bag.
do we have a sink out here?
No.
We don't have a sink. We have a trash bag though.
But what about like pans? You don't want to just throw pans in the trash.
We wash them.
You wash them.
They have a house,
So you need soap and you need hot water.
How do
How are
you
you going to
get
make your
soap?
water hot? What are you going to do to get warm water?
This as good as you could do on the weather?
Boil it.
Boil it. What are you going to boil it
Well,
on?
I was hoping for a little bit more
You
wind.
can
'cause
use
this,
your fire
the wind is,
if you want.
it's just
What if you're at a campsite
Feels great.
where they say you can't
Nice.
have fires because it's too dry and maybe it's too windy and it would be unsafe? You could start a forest fire.
Probably
How are you
good.
gonna heat your?
Probably go to a place, those water sink fountain things, whatever you call those things, that have hot water and cold water things. You can like fill stuff with hot. Get stuff with
How does the water get hot?
How does the water get hot though?
I don't know. They have a sink.
Hey, if you can't do a campfire, what else do we have out here that you guys might be able to see from here that can make something hot? For food,
You look over there.
House. This thingy.
How about a stove, a camp stove?
a stove.
You guys know what camp stoves
No, right
are?
there, right there.
You see a gas stove over there?
See right
Yes.
over there.
What about this?
Yeah.
This is a stove.
This is a little camp stove.
Yep.
Heat up.
But what if we
Anything you
didn't
need
have
to
a
do.
camp stove? That's smaller than.
Well, this is the alternative. If you can't have a campfire, if you can't burn wood, if it's too windy, too dry out, if campfires are not allowed in your campsites, this is the alternative.
That's
Gas
how you got to
stove.
cook your food on that. You got to
Yeah,
heat
that's
your
the
water up on that.
backup.
You do everything with those little guys.
Yep.
So, okay. So we've taken care of our meals. We've got everything we need to cook and feed everybody. How are we going to sleep? Where are we going to sleep?
On the floor.
Well, on
On
the
the
ground. So we're going to have a
Yeah.
tent. So
Where that? That's gonna be good. 'Cause
where
then
do you
there's
think where do you think
yes.
would be the best place to set up a tent? So what are some things you
In
should
the
look
middle
for?
of the woods. In the
What are some
middle
things you
of
should
the.
look for?
An open area.
An open area? Why would you want it in an open area?
So we have enough room
Well, yeah, you need enough room for the tent for sure.
to play and fight, maybe pro bar.
So we want to, when you're looking for an open area too, what's something else you don't want to have happen if you have your tent set up? Let's say it's
get
raining.
fire on it.
Well, yeah, that's a very good point. You don't want to get fire on it. So when you set up your tent, you need to make sure it's pretty far away from the campfire because you don't want the embers and the hot pieces of fire flying across the air. If it's a little bit windy, catching your tent on fire, that's pretty bad. One other thing, think about if it's raining, when it rains on the ground, where does all that water go?
On the ground.
Into the ground to where it's low, right? So let's look at this spot right here. Would this be a very good place to put a tent?
Nope, not at all.
Because why?
Because there's trees.
Because there's trees with big dead branches. If you set up your tent and it gets windy, that branch could break off and fall on your tent and punch right through and hurt you if you're in your tent, right?
Yeah, I'd probably give you a headache.
Yeah, it could really get hurt. It would certainly ruin your tent.
You can't do it right here.
And so, yeah, what else do you want to look at the ground when you're setting up your tent?
Poison ivy.
Exactly. Don't put your tent in poison ivy. And you want the ground to be nice and smooth, right? Does this look smooth to you guys?
Not really. I don't think so.
We've got ant hills. We've got sticks, rocks. We've got roots coming out of the tree. Yeah, you got that kind of stuff. Look, and it's kind of low. So if it rains real hard, what do you think's going to happen?
You're gonna.
All that water is going to come right through here, isn't it?
And that's important, guys. I want you guys to see this slope of the ground.
See how
If
this?
it rains hard, all this water is going to go downhill. And it's going to go into this ditch. So all your water, all this rainwater is going to go right where your tent is sitting. Do you want water in your tent?
No.
No, you get pretty miserable if you get water in your tent.
So it's really, if you guys remember anything from what we're talking about, it needs to be, you have to pick a good spot to put your tent. Sometimes there's not that great a spot and you just have to pick the best one that you can. But when you've got lots of open space like this, well, you can find a pretty good spot out here.
Make it burn.
Well, we can maybe tonight, yeah.
What about, I mean, there's nothing wrong with camping next to trees or close to trees, because why?
Because you need to get wood to have your campfire.
Is it, why are we right here instead of having our meeting out there? Owen?
A little bit hot.
Yeah,
Shade.
shade. There's nothing wrong with camping kind of close to trees, but you don't want to see dead branches like this. You want to see good green trees, brown trees, you know. Especially in the afternoon, this sun is going to be kind of west of us. So if you camp kind of on the east side of this tree row, it's, you know, away from the slope area, like somewhere down there, that's a good spot for a tent. Because your tent will not get as hot as those tents out here. Because the sun is beating down on those tents right now. If you set up your tent over there, it's not going to get quite as hot. So that's another thing to look for.
Shade.
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 It's just comfort, you know?
But still goes hot. So should we camp then?
Okay, so we've talked about types of things that you need to bring for the pack and the den for a group. We've talked about where you set your tent.
Yep.
What types of things do you guys need to bring individually? If you're going to go camping for 2 or 3 or 4 days, what do you put in your backpack?
Water.
You need water, yep. What are some snacks? So yeah,
Cans.
food is that kind of stuff too. But what are the types of things you do at your house every night before you go to bed or in the morning when you wake up?
A
That kind of
video
stuff.
game. Yeah,
That's,
pretty much.
yeah, 10, 12, 20, yep. So what do you think you need?
Toothbrush.
Toothbrush. You need what's called personal items. Deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste,
You
shampoo,
need,
soap.
You also need a mask because my teacher, I always get caught when my teacher always saying,
In
Ian, put your mask back on.
for a little while. Yeah,
I didn't
we don't need
put
to do
my
that.
mask on. Well, duh, because you're at home.
But what about you need fresh clothes, like
Yes.
like fresh underwear and fresh socks? You don't want to live in stinky clothes for 3 or 4 or 5 days.
I am,
Yeah.
maybe.
So you need a change of clothes. You need
Make
you
a
need to
fire.
know what the weather's going to be, right? If it's going to be 35 degrees out, would you bring shorts and t-shirts?
No. Yes.
Owen probably would, yeah.
Yeah, me too. I don't know the weather.
But maybe you should bring clothes for what the temperature is going to be, and an
Like
extra set
this.
of clothes. Is it going to rain? Is it going to be cold? Is it going to be hot?
My Google doesn't really tell the truth.
So you want to plan your clothes for what it is you need. which also leads you into, so you've got your tent, you've got your clothes,
Yep.
you got everything set up. What, how are you going to sleep in your tent? What are you going to use?
Sleeping bag.
You're going to use sleeping bags.
There is this cool invention called a cot.
A cot, well, if you want to carry a cot, yeah, if you've got one and it fits in your tent, absolutely.
There's this cool invention called a sleeping bag that I've heard of, and it's like where you like sleep in it, and it's kind of like a thing where you can like pull up to your and your face is just like.
Yeah, okay, tell me about that. What is there only one kind of sleeping bag? Is there more than one kind?
They're superheroes. I don't know.
So, I think there's probably several different kinds of sleeping bags. You guys know what a mummy bag is?
Oh yeah, it's where mummies sleep.
Have you ever seen a mummy bag?
Yeah, because you just brought one.
Yes, thank you, son. So what are mummy bags best for?
Sleeping. No, carrying stuff.
Carrying stuff. Mummy bags are for when it's really cold out, right? And all sleeping bags have what's called a temperature rating. So you don't want to buy a sleeping bag that's good for 0 degrees when it's 95 degrees out because you'll melt. But also, you don't want to buy a sleeping bag that's only good for 50 degrees if it's going to get down to 20 and 30 degrees at night, because then you'll freeze. So again, you kind of need to know where it is you're camping, where it is you're doing. Oh, hang on, buddy. So this is a mummy bag that wasn't put together, Owen.
Sorry. I just wanted to throw it in the truck.
Mummy bags are meant to keep you warm when it's cold. See your head? You lose most of your heat out of the top of your head when you're sleeping. Do you guys know that? You can anyway. So this goes over the top of your head. And then you can pull this tight. And so just your little face is showing right there. And everything else stays nice and warm inside the bag, right?
A little face.
Emit like a mummy. That's why they do that. You sleep like this, like a mummy. And then you've got a sleeping bag like this one. It's the one you guys probably all know. It's just open on the top. It's just flat across the top. So you won't stay as warm in this one as you would in this one.
What about this?
So you're young, so you guys don't matter that much. But your dad and I were kind of old.
Ian,
So,
pay attention, please.
so what would make it more comfortable to sit on the ground? You know how we talked about you picked your campsite, or your camp where you're going to put your tent? Let's say it is a little bit bumpy and rough. I mean, you can kind of see how rough and bumpy this is. You won't sleep very good, will you? It's going to hurt your back. So you can get these different types of things called a ground pad. And there's 1,000 different kinds. Some good, some bad, some expensive, some cheap.
That's mine.
Make your sister sleep on it. Anyway, this is a ground pad. You put this down and you put your sleeping bag over the top of it, and eventually this will fill up with air. It's going to take a little while to do it, but it'll give you that much more cushion underneath, so you won't feel all the bumps on the ground, and you'll sleep better. Yeah. So those are the two basic types of sleeping bags. That's what a ground pad is. So, okay, we've got our food. Oh.
Another function, this ground pad, guys, another function of this is when it gets mild to cooler weather, imagine you just put your sleeping bag right on the ground and you're trying to stay warm. That ground is going to be a little bit colder than your body. You know what it's going to do to your body? It's going to take the heat out of your body and you're going to be colder. If you don't have a layer of insulation between the ground and your sleeping bag, that's one of the other big reasons to use a sleeping pad. There's air in here, acts as an insulating barrier between you and your sleeping bag and the ground. You guys, when you guys are sleeping in cold weather, using a pad is extremely important, or else you're going to wake up stiff, you're going to barely be able to move,
And you're going to be freezing.
you're going to be cold, because the ground is taking all that heat, all your body heat away from you. If you don't have some sort of insulating layer, like this sleeping pad. So it's not just for comfort, just for rocks, just bumps and stuff. This insulates you from the ground. It's not so important in the warm months because the ground's pretty warm. We're not trying to stay, cool. So, but in the cooler to cold months, it's very, very important. So cool.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Right on. So we've had our food, we've set our tent, we've got our sleeping bags, we've got all of our personal gear. We've ate our dinner, we've done everything, and it's starting to get dark.
We haven't even ate dinner yet.
What happens when it gets? I mean, what are you going to do when it gets dark? When you're out camping? What should you do?
Set out the camp.
You're not ready to go to bed yet, right?
Set out the campfire.
So you can start the campfire, but it's dark. So what are some things? You guys know what a lantern is?
Yeah, there's this thing called a lantern.
There's this thing called a lantern.
This invention called a lantern.
Yeah.
That-
All right,
that looks
Mr.
like-
Smarty Pants, tell me
that
about
looks
the
like
lantern.
And a moth. These cool bugs called moths like to
Mhm.
fly around them. What's a moth?
So this is a lantern. They put out light, right? There's a couple different kinds. This one runs off this little propane bottle. You know how to start it? Have you ever started one before?
Yeah.
Down here. This is one of the simple ones. Right here to here. Run the gas and then click it. There it goes. And you got bright light all night long. You
It
can
doesn't
control
really
it.
look that bright right now.
What are those little bags? Do you know what those little bags are called? Called mantles. That's what's actually burning. That it's a cloth, sort of, and that's what's burning. And it's a fire in there. The gas is coming out in a little tube right up above that they're mounted on, and that's what's burning.
What's
The little fire inside.
If it comes down fire.
And something you guys need to remember too, lanterns get hot, no matter what kind of lanterns they are, unless they're battery powered like lamps,
LEDs.
LEDs.
What are those?
But this gets hot and hot and hot, so you never ever take a lantern into your tent, ever. Remember how we talked about tents catching fire?
This is fire.
This is fire. I mean, you can already feel, put your hand right up there, you can feel how hot that is. Don't touch it, but you feel the heat. And that was only after a couple of minutes. Yeah. So you never take lanterns into your tents.
Yes.
Never. So
Or else you'll actually probably die.
Well, you'll melt your tent,
you'll melt your tent.
and if it's made of the
Well,
right
the worst
material,
case
it will start fire.
The worst case scenario is if you're actually sleeping.
Yeah, that's bad. So no fires in your tents, guys. This is a fire. Those little fires.
to wake me up, so of course I'm gonna
We were going to take a look at some of the stuff in the troop trailer,
we
and then after that,
Um,
I'm going to have you guys build a tent.
We can. I mean,
We got a couple things here.
we
too.
talk about like personal gear. You know, all that Ian. You know, I asked Ian to pack his stuff, and what do you really need? You need to change your clothes. You need something to sleep in. You need to change the clothes for tomorrow, right? Right, guys?
Yes.
You need to pay attention to the weather. Say it's going to get down to 50 tonight.
You also.
You know, so you need, even though it's, how warm is it right now? 80s. You know, he packed a pair of long pants to change into if he needs to. On longer trips, I like to pack an extra change of clothes just in case. That includes underwear, socks, whatever. An extra pair of clothes, an extra set of clothes. Other than that, he just had a toothbrush and toothpaste. If it was summer camp, you can get your shampoo and everything because you'll be taking showers, whatever, cleaning up. Other than that, it's your 6 essentials. 6 essentials for the outdoors. Like on your hikes, your camps, you want to bring your 6 essentials always. Remember what those are?
Oh, and name an essential.
Name one.
Flashlight.
Okay, flashlight, water bottle, snack to get you energy,
Cap.
sun protection, and that's a hat and or sunblock. What else? A couple more items. You guys have little first aid kits.
I know one item
What
that
kind?
is really important. It's called a whistle.
Whistle.
Yeah. Now, this is my essentials bag. This is my day bag. I do have a whistle. I even got a bear bell still. I was out of Colorado and I have this bear bell, which when you're walking around it makes a little noise to tell the bears that you're coming. The last thing you want to do is scare a bear. That's what you really don't want. So I still have a bear bell on there. I have a lot more than just the 6 essentials. I got my water on there. I might have a few granola bars stuffed in the bottom of this. I've got a rain jacket stuffed in here in a little stuff sack. This is my rain jacket. You know, I even got, I got my sport right here. It's
Find
a
something you
sport.
need to eat.
I got
That's what.
a little hand towel just in case I need it. I got a little fire starter. We'll talk about fire starting next year and the year after, something like that. Heck, I've got a headlamp. You know, I got some stuff in here you probably don't want to see. First aid kit. I got my flashlight. I got a pair of gloves. This is my compasses. But a first aid kit.
Like Band-Aids for Ian Boardwalk.
Yeah. And of course, we talked a little bit maybe about first aid kits last year, whatever. You know, what kind of things are we trying to do with a first aid kit? What's some common things you guys run into? Cuts? What else?
Scrapes.
Cuts, scrapes,
Like what I did here. On my torn
stings. Cuts, scrapes, stings.
What I did well, that it got split. My skin got
I've got probably a little bit of everything in here. Hey guys, this is my wilderness first aid kit. It's small, but of course I've got pads in here to control the bleeding. That's the first thing if you get a cut, right? Control the bleeding, so I got pads kind of readily accessible. I've got Band-Aids stuck in here. I've got, if you get dehydrated, I've got salts in here. I've got a prescription for epinephrine, which I don't have epinephrine anymore because it's expired. But I got tweezers. I've got duct tape. I've got gloves in case I don't want to mess with somebody's blood. I've got eye drops.
Wait, I forgot.
I've got a little syringe.
Why?
This is an irrigation syringe. It doesn't have a needle or anything. But I can fill this up with a little bit of soap and water. And if we're away from a sink, away from anything, if you've got kind of a deep cut, I can shoot this at your cut and wash it, clean it up.
Wait, I forgot something.
It just shoots out a little stream of water. I've got some Q-tips, antibiotic ointment. I don't use it too often, but I do have it. So, but the other thing that you guys should have in your first aid kits is moleskin, because you hike around a bit. If you're getting uncomfortable in your shoes, you want to protect you don't want to get a blister on your foot. That really makes your trip miserable.
Wait.
You get a blister on your foot. It really does.
I forgot something.
What'd you forget? Where you going? Of course. Oh, I do have epinephrine. Any of you guys know anybody with like really serious allergies that
Daddy.
might carry an EpiPen?
Where's my bag?
Huh?
Just bring it.
Hey Jack. Come here, hey Jack. We're getting close. Does anybody in your school or in your class have like really serious allergies that might carry an EpiPen? You know what an EpiPen is? Some people have allergies that are really bad, like peanut allergies maybe, or you guys may have allergies that you may not know about. But if you get a real bad allergy, a reaction to an allergy, it can get so bad that your body goes into, it's called shock. It's an anaphylactic shock, that's what it's called. It's really serious allergies. But if you know somebody with an EpiPen, that's what it's for. What it is, it's a shot, it's a medication in a shot, and they inject it into their thigh. If you see somebody, swelling up, they get red, they're having an allergic reaction, and most of the time somebody knows if they have, serious allergies to carry an EpiPen, but some people may not know if they have a serious allergic reaction to something until they're diagnosed with it. So several years ago, I just got a prescription for generic epinephrine in case somebody doesn't know they have a serious allergy, and I can administer epinephrine to them. So I haven't renewed it because my prescription plan kind of shot up on. I used to just have to pay $20 for prescription for epinephrine, for generics.
That was 600.
But it's kind of shot up since then.
Yeah.
But anyway, but your basic first aid kits that you guys should be carrying: treat wounds, control the bleeding, keep it clean, protect it with band-aids, and some moleskin. So that's your personal items.
Yep.
Besides that, your clothes and your toothbrush and toothpaste, that's what you guys should carry camping. Keep an eye on the weather. Bring a rain jacket just in case. Even if the forecast doesn't say it's going to rain, take your rain jacket. You know, just stuff it in your day bag.
Sometimes those forecast people are actually right.
You know, the weathermen, you think they're wrong? You think they're right all the time?
No.
No.
Because they predict.
They forecast, yeah. I've never met a weatherman that was right all the time. So, if there's a weatherman out there that's right all the time, they'd be Guinness with the whole.
It'd be all right.
So.
So.
But I think we covered the pack items, like the overall items, like food that everybody's going to eat, how to prepare the food, what to clean up after you eat, you know, the campfire. Of course, you want to bring a chair maybe to sit with, you know. In some packs they own the tents, but you guys bring a tent with you. You know, our pack is small enough that everybody brings their own tents. So the troop, we have our own tents in there, so we carry them with us. We have a lot of supplies that we carry with us, but we cook a lot more, you know, individually, and we prepare a lot of stuff individually. The boys do, where you guys, the leaders, kind of help out more and prepare this stuff, but the troop, the scouts do a lot of the work, so we have a lot more tools in there, a lot more resources. So. What else?
Nothing.
Nothing.
pretty much
You guys
the
are ready to go on.
Yeah, let's go
So
on
what,
and play football.
What you guys need to do now, we need to teach you guys how to set up a tent.
Yes.
You need to know how to set up a tent.
I already know.
Well, good. Then you can help lead the group then.
So these are my sets of essentials. I got water wherever my water is.
Okay,
I got
cool.